Hello guys, how are you? I believe that you are doing well. Welcome to Stewart Daniel TV. And if you have not subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe, add to our number, and it will be a great honor to have you here. Also remember to watch many videos which we have uploaded in this channel. We bring many different topics from the study of the Bible to relationships to anything which is trending. So I will say it's a very rich platform where we have a lot to learn. Tonight I want us to have a different conversation, and this one is going to relate with our lives in one way or another. Yeah, we know that in this world we live, we need to have sustainable lives, and you realize that our life is dependent to the environment or to the ecosystem. And then there is what we call biodiversity. I want us to discuss biodiversity bottleneck, and this will simply mean the challenges which biodiversity is going through in 21st century. When I talk about biodiversity, I want us to be in the same page, that it can be perceived in 3 levels, and one of them is just the general one, the ecosystems or the habitats. There should be in diversity, they should be in diverse. So that is that kind of diversity which is within the habitat level. Then from there we come to the organisms, the species within those habitats. They are also diverse, and then they comprise biodiversity. I will not go on deeper into systematics, but I will simply go to the last one. The most intricate level of diversity is genetic diversity, and our lives are dependent to biodiversity. But with the improvement in technology and human enterprise in 21st century, we have exposed natural environment to many challenges, such that we should be worried about the future generations. I know everybody is maybe in a relationship or in marriage. It means that we are going to leave children in this world. We are just here for a short time. Then in science we say that you get converted into carbon and ammonia. Then you become manure, and that's all. So once you are gone, the behavior which you show today in your interaction with the biodiversity will affect how your generation will be able to live in this world sustainably. We know that biodiversity has been proven to play a key role in maintaining what we call ecosystem integrity, functional integrity. And this is like a support system which enable the ecosystem to function and the health of this ecosystem. So there are what we call ecosystem services, and if the environment or the ecosystem is affected to a point that we cannot get the services, or we destroy the functional integrity of the ecosystem, then we are ready to face the challenges. Some of these services include provisioning services. In the morning or even now at night, you have taken dinner. What you have eaten is not stones, but those are either plants or animals. So we get our energy from the biodiversity. We also get professional services, anything which we get from nature can be included, including building materials, timber, wood, fuel, natural gas, oil, medicine, and all these things we derive them from the biodiversity, from the surrounding. So you find that these professional services are quite critical for our survival here on Earth. The ecosystem will also provide what we call regulating services. Right now, we are talking about climate change. Climate change happens when the weather patterns, you know that climate is simply the accumulation of the daily conditions. So if the environment is not able to regulate, like carbon, if there is no carbon imbalance, then the global warming is going to result. So when the regulating services of the ecosystems are interfered with, then we know where we are heading to climate change. All this we get from the ecosystem functional integrity, and it's quite very important. This will include things like purification of water, flood control when it rains, which is the ecosystem that act as buffers and absorb rainwater, control erosion, carbon storage, which is directly linked to climate regulation. It is the work of our biodiversity, our ecosystems, to play these regulating services. Then we have support and cultural services. A process like photosynthesis is the major source of primary production and powers the ecosystems, like the power source of the ecosystem. It's a very important support service which we get from biodiversity. Nutrient cycling, the creation of soil, even the water cycle. These are support services, and they are very important to us. So when we talk about biodiversity bottleneck, we are focusing on the things which are really pressing: biodiversity, persistence, conservation, and all these things. When you check, for example, many of the biodiversity hotspots, like the Amazon, these forests, they are hotspots, meaning that they contain a lot of biodiversity. They are undergoing a lot of challenges. When you come to Africa, the Congo forest, the rainforest, there are many challenges, including fire and logging. Let us not even focus on these biodiversity hotspots. Where you live, there is that environment which you live. There is a lot of negative impacts which humans are exposing to these environments. So what are some of these things which are affecting biodiversity? Number one is like trafficking in wildlife, where animals are killed in large numbers or one by one, either through conflicts, and then people sell the bushmeat or other products. Rhinos are well-known, elephants, and even bovines, where their skin is quite important. So trafficking is one of the problems which must be dealt with. The local communities should be able to appreciate the biodiversity which live around them. So if we can stop trafficking of wildlife and wildlife parts, it can serve a great deal in conserving biodiversity. Number two is like the protected areas. The challenges which protected areas are going through are intense, right away from poaching and grabbing of land, and they are reducing in size due to incision by local communities and even politicians. Yeah, this is something which is very pressing in many developing countries. But if the governments could focus on expanding the size and the number of protected areas, it can be so helpful to maintain biodiversity. But one approach is that you cannot just erect a fence around a protected area when the local communities are dilapidated, because if there is no food, for example, the local community may need to get into forest and add for subsistence. So if the governments are not able to support these local communities, then it will be very difficult to deal with these challenges in protected areas. Rural electrification can be very important, because if someone wants to cook, they will not need to go to the protected area to bring firewood. They will simply use cookers, electric cookers. And this way, some of these solutions can serve greatly, even to reduce the carbon seals processes which change the carbon in plants into the atmosphere. So these are some of the things which governments could do to save biodiversity. Then we also need to look on our cities, the planning in our cities. Many cities in Africa and in other places, you find that they are not well designed. There's no room for biodiversity. If it is not, for example, for people like Wangari Maathai, like in Kenya, in Nairobi, some places like Uhuru Park could not be there. And they have done a lot to try to fight for the city designs, so that we recognize the biodiversity which live in cities. Cities have become areas where biodiversity, especially animals, if they destroy even insects, we don't have those green spaces where we can encourage biodiversity to thrive. So proper designing of cities is very important. Then we can also talk about ecotourism. Ecotourism is a form of tourism which is human based. It seeks to involve the human dimension, so that people feel part of this tourism. It can serve to increase the inclusion of the local communities and local societies in conservation. So if tourism ministries could have people to teach the local communities on how to engage in ecotourism, and the number would grow, and then people would feel much connected to nature, and this way biodiversity would have a space to thrive. In conclusion, we say that the human capacity to extinguish other species on this planet and purposefully alter wildlife habitat means that we are in many ways responsible for which species and ecosystem will survive. As we move through peak human population in this century and begin to more purposefully manage our impacts on Earth biota, let's keep the biodiversity bottleneck of our own, making as wide open as possible. Progress towards that goal would be both pragmatic and gratifying. Thank you very much, guys, for listening to me. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please do subscribe. Let's grow together. Thank you so much. Good night, good day, good time.